I was at my mom's a couple weeks ago, and I was going along the back way to Union Springs, and I know what you're thinking because you have actually been on the quote-unquote main highway, and to you, that's probably a back road. But there is actually a more remote back road, and there's this family. They breed Labrador Retrievers. And this just kind of sums up America right now, Tim.
Uh-oh, what?
They got a new mailbox, and they spelled their names wrong on the mailbox.
Oh, no.
And the Trump flag is just a flapping in the breeze. And I was just kind of like...
Did you pull over and take a picture?
I didn't. I should, though. But see, then you would see their name, and I don't want to do that.
Their last name isn't like Pat or something, is it?
No. But I mean, of all the names you should know how to spell, shouldn't you know how to spell your last name?
How many letters are in this name, John?
8.
Okay. Well, that's an average name.
Yeah.
It's not Pat, but it's not
supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. No, exactly. Yeah, but I just
Can you say that?
Supercalifragilistic. Well, now you can. I can sing it. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Did you sing it in grade school, Catholic school? That's why I know that. That's the one thing in Catholic school I don't forget.
They let you? Oh, you must have had some real liberal hippie nuns. No, we wouldn't have sang. We learned the prayer to St. Francis. That was one song.
Well, you remember, I ride my bike because the nun told me, that whole story. You got to go back and listen to another story.
You go back.
I got in trouble. I got in trouble for loving my bike too much.
Loving your bike more than Jesus.
More than Jesus. That's exactly what happened.
It wasn't that you loved your bike too much, Tim. It's that you loved your bike more than you loved Jesus.
It's the SETI BIMCO Halloween Spooktacular Scary Hour. This show has 2 hosts, Tim and John. Each host has 10 fingers, 2 eyes, and 1 nose. For now.
This is the SETI BIMCO show, the show where we talk to people about their embarrassing, weird, humorous high school experiences, and we watch weird high school movies that are bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's episode 30-something, 35, 33.
30-something. What's up there? 33, 34, 35? I can't believe it.
Before you tell your story, I want to say that I was on another podcast, a podcast called 6 Unseemly Questions. It probably already aired. You can go back and
why was I not aware of this, Tim?
Because I just did it Saturday.
Oh,
I think I told you 6 months ago I was going to do it, but they finally got around to me because they have lots of guests.
Oh, okay.
It's hosted by Victor Venato, a comedian.
Uh-huh.
He was once on Conan. You can look him up, see when he appeared on Conan. Did his stand-up.
Okay.
He's a funny guy, nice guy. Well, actually, I don't know if he's a nice guy. I've only met him once, but he seems like a nice guy.
Well,
I don't like to be like, hey, he's my pal. I met him once online.
Yeah, yeah. We're best friends.
He asked me 6 unseemly questions, so you go check out what happened and hear my answers.
Okay. All right.
On to you, John. Anything happened
No,
this
I
week?
think, you know what? We got a great guest today, though. It's our first time that we've ever had siblings. A sibling of a former guest be on the show. And his name is Will Dodson. And no, I don't have anything.
Wait, I have something to say before we get to him. Hold on, Will. Stay in the green room.
Wait, Will. Help yourself to another tablespoon of olive oil.
Yeah, what was I going to tell you? Oh, I was going to say, John, do you in Auburn, I don't know if you have what we have in Brooklyn, but when you go to the bank...
Probably not. No, I don't know. Go ahead.
We have doormen for our banks. I don't know if you have doormen. Do you have a doorman that opens the door for the bank for you?
No.
In Brooklyn, we have door people. They could be female or male. They open the door, and they say,
now would the homeless guy who's asking for least change count as a doorman?
Those are the door people, yes.
Door
people. Sometimes it's women.
Okay. All right. Okay. Then, yes, we do have them. Okay. All right. I just got it. Okay. See, I thought I was making a joke. You do have them. I thought I was making a joke, and you're like, no, that's exactly what I'm talking about. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah. We have door people.
So I've been so in the weekend. Obviously, the bank's closed, but you still got to go there to go to the ATM if you want to buy your drugs or whatever. You got to go get money.
Right.
So last weekend I went there. There's a woman, and I'm getting my card out because you swipe your card to get through the locked door. She's like, "It's not working today. You can't get in today." Like, really? And she's homeless. I'm like, okay, let me try, and I can't get in. It doesn't work. She says, "See, it's not working today." And then she asked me for some money, and I'm like, she knows, but she knows what's going on with my bank more than I know. And then this weekend, I went when the bank was closed again, and the guy saw me come, and he says, "Oh, you going into the ATM machine?" I said, "Yeah." He pulls out a card from his pocket and swipes a card to open the door for me. Why does the homeless guy have a bank card to my bank?
Well, what's the minimum you need in a bank account? Like at my credit union, as long as you have $30 in the account, they'll keep it open for you.
I guess is he like, does he have a place to live, and this is his side hustle to open the door and ask you if you got some money on your way out, which is terrible because when the ATM gives you $20 bills, I don't have money on the way out to give to him.
Right.
Or anybody. I'm going there to get money, and he knows I'm getting 20s.
Right. And you're not getting a 20, buddy.
Anyway.
You sometimes just got to be honest with them, Tim, and pray they don't have a knife. Or you can outrun them. You're in pretty good shape.
Nice.
You bike a lot. You can probably outrun them. You'd be fine.
They're all nice. We know most of their names on the street.
I'm not saying you don't have to be nasty to them. I just tell them, I just tell them, I'm sorry, I can't afford it this week. And that's the truth.
No, that's what I say. No, I'm saying they are nice. Nobody has knives. They are nice.
Yeah, they're nice until you tell them, no, you're not going to give them money. Then suddenly the tables turn is all I'm saying.
Well, anyway, just wanted to tell you about our doormen. Okay. They can even swipe the doors open for us. So let's stop talking about whatever we're talking about.
Let's stop talking about whatever we're talking about. Let's get to Will.
Let's get to Will in the green room. I want to introduce this week's guest I'm very excited about. It's Mr. Will Dodson, who is author, along with his editor, Christopher Woofter, of a book called American Twilight, The Cinema of Tobe Hooper, published by University of Texas Press. Correct?
Yes. Well, I should say Chris and I are co-editors.
Co-editors. Okay.
Yeah.
But welcome, Will.
Yeah.
We have no audience. Yay!
Yay! One day we'll get the studio audience. We'll be bigger than Regis and Capulet.
I have one question to start off with that's not about Tobe Hooper, because you said you're a fan of Herschel Gordon Lewis.
Yeah.
And John and I watched just for the hell of it.
Oh man, that was a tough one. You did. I listened to that episode. You did a good job with it, I think. It was probably more entertaining to listen to you than.
Well, thanks. I mean, I like watching these movies that people made on a shoestring. I'm not.
Oh yeah.
I hope people know I'm not down on these people. I just want to have a movie to talk about with John and have fun for an hour.
Yeah.
Right. It's more like a catalyst for the conversation.
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know, do you know anything about that movie that we missed? I mean, do you know?
Oh, yeah.
Was it filmed in Florida?
Yeah. Lewis.
I was right. Florida.
Yeah, he's one of the true auteurs of drive-in cinema. Invented the Gore movie along with the great Carnival Barker turned filmmaker David Friedman. Lewis was a really interesting guy. He was an English teacher in Mississippi who turned to filmmaking as a way to make a buck, and he started out making these nudie cuties, basically nudist colony movies, get around Santa Claus.
I've heard of
Goldilocks and the Three Bears, Bares. I saw that in his oeuvre.
Yeah, he's great. He once said, my favorite quote by him is, he said, my films are like the poems of Walt Whitman. No good, but the first of their kind, and therefore deserving of some status.
That's a good quote. That is
I read
quote.
he won copywriting or advertising awards, right?
He was a master of direct mail sales, junk mail. Young people don't know about this, but you all remember mailboxes and junk mail, right?
Oh yeah.
I still sure, yeah.
He gave seminars, and I actually have a couple of his books on marketing.
Oh my God!
Yeah, he was a pretty smart guy.
Well, now I don't know if I like him so much.
No, yeah, everything he worked in was disreputable. Yeah.
Wow.
But here's the thing about it, though. I mean, even though we were kind of like doing it tongue in cheek, like I remember every scene, like to the minutia.
Because it was in the same hotel room, do you think?
Bizarre.
I think I mean, you remember the movie when you're done watching it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
and there is something to be said about those movies. I mean, we're going to be talking about Tobe Hooper, his big film was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And, they remade that. As a matter of fact, I was working in an Italian restaurant down in Ithaca. One of the people I used to wait on, one of my regulars, I was told he was the producer of the remake of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but it wasn't Michael Bay. And I don't think it was that Mike Fleiss either. I think he was a producer. Like, you put enough zeros on the end of a check, and you're a producer. And there's nothing wrong with that because you have to have those zeros on the checks to make the movies. But, when they remake something like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or if somebody was going to remake something like Just for the Hell of It, it loses something when it gets to be too slick and too commercial, using air quotes. There's something, I'm going to use the word almost charming about the almost non-existent special effects budget. I mean, there's just something really awesome about that.
Yeah, I don't think you could create what Texas Chainsaw was. Like, wow.
No.
So gritty and documentary realistic, And
I read as much of your book as I could read. You talked a lot about, well, I don't want to be too serious because we just goof around and have fun in this podcast, but you're talking about the horror of the home.
Yeah.
And I was always told, that Psycho and Texas Chainsaw are two sides of the Ed Gein story, because Ed Gein, skinned people, and he made furniture out of skin, and that was a horror of the home. I mean, that home was not happy. Before that, I think he maybe accidentally killed his brother. We're not sure. Do you know the whole story of Ed Gein?
Since we're keeping it light,
We'll talk about Ed Gein. We're keeping it light.
Nothing funnier than Ed Gein. Nothing to get the laughs rolling. That's right.
Yeah,
right up there with Leslie Van Houten.
Oh, no.
Well, he was, to crib from Psycho. He was a boy who had a very special relationship with his mother.
Right.
And he was a grave robber and potentially a cannibal, and he did kill and skin a couple people. But the Psycho, Silence of the Lambs, Deranged, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they all take Ed Gein as one of their starting points, but then take it in very new directions. In fact, Hooper was a really funny guy and had a lot of black humor in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre that he felt like people didn't get, and that's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons he made the sequel, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. He wanted to go a little more over the top so people would.
I got some of the humor. I mean, there's that scene where he's running out with the chainsaw, and he kind of stops. I can't explain it. He does this staggered turn like a cartoon character. I was assumed that was meant to be funny.
It was funny and functional. Gunnar Hansen, who was about 6'8", played Leatherface, couldn't see out of his mask very well, and was also wearing cowboy boots that are about 2 sizes too small. Ooh. So when he had to turn, he had to kind of do a little 2-step to turn around. But it looked good on camera. So and it made the character kind of stoogish.
Unintentionally funny, or
it was unintentional, but it worked.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, you find those in the editing suite, Yeah. In Hooper's case, not an editing suite. He edited the film in his living room.
Right, you said that. Yeah, I watched one of your other interviews. That's why my head is too full of questions for you.
You did the research. Well, I'll back up then.
Well, what do you want to talk about from the book? Is there anything amazing you want to tell us? Because I have so many questions, and you're the guest.
Oh, well,
things that we don't know that you found in your research, because I didn't get a chance to read your entire book.
Sure. Well, I will say this, without any, with all humility, it's a collection of essays featuring some amazing scholars. And it's but at the same time, it's very readable. This is the first scholarly and comprehensive book about Hooper, and we really wanted it to reach an audience that he deserves to reach. And so, I would encourage people to check it out. We're not going to make it. Nobody makes any money in academic publishing, so I'm not hawking any wares here. I just want to spread the word. I think one of the most interesting things we discovered was Hooper had a legendary lost film that he did right before Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And that was a documentary called The Song is Love. And it was about the dangerous radical group known as Peter, Paul, and Mary.
I read about that. Yes. I was surprised that he did this little film.
And it was the holy grail. We spent Chris did most of the research on this. I have to give him credit. Actually, he did all the research on this. I'll give him full credit. But I'm here, and he's not. So,
however, if you would like to be a guest, you can email us at SETIBIMCO with at gmail.com.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He spent a year and a half trying to track this thing down, and we finally found this guy, Stan Giese, who's written a couple books about Hooper as well that have just come out. Great books. And he had worked on a couple of Hooper productions, Spontaneous Combustion, I'm Dangerous Tonight, and Invaders from Mars. Anyway, he shared a digital copy with us, and it's amazing. Oh, okay. The interviews he has with Peter, Paul, and Mary are fantastic. He gets footage of them at anti-war demonstrations, at civil rights demonstrations in Memphis.
This is the one you're waiting for the Sun to give you permission to transfer it, that I read?
Right.
And that they are the people that own it.
Right, which we never did. And so after all that work, the book comes out, and a couple months later, wouldn't you know it, the damn thing's on YouTube. You can go watch it right after this if you want to.
Great.
Oh, no.
Well,
which I'm glad. I'm glad.
Yeah,
I wish they
right. You want it out there, but as you know, you could have just gone on YouTube. You would have, gosh, the other things you could have done with your life. I mean,
yeah.
Well, here's what I want to know about, because I listened to part of one of your interviews, and I think I didn't hear the end of it. And you said you're going to get to it. And I don't know if John knows about this controversy, but I want to know your take on Poltergeist.
Oh, God.
And if John doesn't know, do you know, John?
I know Poltergeist. What's the question you're asking me, Tim? You got to ask me a full question, Tim.
Well, the rumor has it that Tobe was set to start directing it, and Spielberg came along and said, I got to take over and do this movie. So, and people have argued about what really happened. So I wondered what you found out, Will.
Well,
or if you found out anything, or your opinion.
Yeah, well, all three of those things. It's a specious rumor that was started by some crew members on the set who were, kind of it was this pre-internet kind of tabloid leaks and rumor spreading and gossip mongering.
Okay, they didn't like Tobe, is what you're saying, and they were unhappy.
For whatever reason. I think anybody who watches a lot of Steven Spielberg movies and watches a lot of Tobe Hooper movies, if you see Poltergeist, you're looking at a Tobe Hooper movie. The fact is, Hooper and Spielberg wrote the script together. They co-wrote the script,
right?
And of course, one of Spielberg's big recurring themes is suburbia and childhood. But this is not the suburban nostalgia of E.T.
No.
This is balls to the wall terror and
although they all get out alive, don't they, in Poltergeist?
Well, I don't want to spoil it.
Well, in the movie they do. In real life, well, we'll talk about that later. But anyway,
yeah, sadly,
people have seen Poltergeist. We're not spoiling things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Spielberg was a hands-on producer, but you don't hear these rumors about Gremlins or The Burbs or
right.
Back to the Future. Or wait, did he produce Back to the Future? I don't know. He worked with Zemeckis or something. But Hooper was a retiring guy. He was not a Hollywood guy. He was an independent guy. He was quiet, kind kind of reserved, and it just kind of lent itself to those kinds of rumors.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a shame.
And I'm wondering, I'm also wondering, since, he probably didn't work with like a lot of the union people before that, and there are union rules. There are union rules for, the crew and the cast. And he probably was so used to just not having to obey by those rules. So maybe that could have been an issue. Maybe that was their problem with Hooper.
Was this his first big film? The two before that were Eaten Alive and Funhouse.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, certainly he'd worked with unions before. I could only speculate. I can't really speak to that. But it is true. Like, and I've said this several times. If Poltergeist looks anything like a Spielberg movie, it's because it has Spielberg money.
And it has those special effects and those lens flares. Yeah.
Right.
It's the biggest budget he ever had. But, he went on to work with Spielberg several more times, directing for Amazing Stories, directing the pilot for the Taken alien abduction miniseries.
Which I did not know until I read your material. I didn't know that he directed the music video, Dancing with Myself.
Oh, yeah. Hey, that's one of the best essays in the book.
I had no idea.
Yeah, and I've now watched that video, hundreds of times, and it's a blast. Yeah, it's so fun.
Now that I know he did it,
and Billy Idol reportedly requested him. So
yeah. And here's the thing: just one more thing about Poltergeist. Poltergeist is, in my opinion, is an incredible movie.
Yeah,
I have probably seen it dozens of times. Even to this day, I will sit and if I see Poltergeist come on, I will watch it. It's just a fantastic movie. It's what you were saying, Will. It was that sort of that combination of the Spielberg, the suburbia, the the little family, and you mix that with Tobe Hooper, and it's like this chemical reaction almost. It's incredible. It really is. Yeah, I don't think the movie could have been made. It had to have been made by both of them. If one or the other was not involved with it, it would have been a totally different movie. Would it have been a better movie? Would it have been a worse movie? I don't know, but it would have been a different movie.
Yeah, and they had so much money. If they had such a big budget, why, reportedly, did they have to use real skeletons in the pool? I heard that the fake skeletons would cost too much. And, the skeletons in the pool, I've read that they're real because they're cheap. Do you know about this?
They look better, and if you're acting with you're acting with a real skeleton, you're going to have an existential moment.
Yeah.
You're looking at yourself.
Budget questions. That's all.
By the way, Tim, you do know that Will does not know everything about what happened on the set of Poltergeist every day, unless maybe he has the diary. I don't know. What did they serve for lunch on day? What did they serve for lunch on day 15? Will, do you know that?
I can be certain there was a lot of Dr. Pepper on set.
Which one, Poltergeist?
Any set that Hooper would be on would have a lot of Dr. Pepper.
That was his favorite drink?
Yeah.
Really?
Like Joan Crawford and the Pepsi.
Yeah.
Well, Pepsi and
there
vodka.
you go. Allegedly. Had to send that 100 proof vodka over to make Trog because she couldn't get 100 proof vodka in the UK. This is the rumor. But anyway, we're going off on a tangent here. I did want to ask you a question, Will, because we're talking about movies made in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. I'm just asking for your opinion. Who do you think is carrying the torch today in that genre, or is that genre over? I think of Rob Zombie's movies. I think Rob Zombie is definitely playing homage to those old movies. But is there anybody maybe we don't know about, somebody very independent, somebody who's up and coming, or do you think maybe that time can those movies even be made anymore with know?
Yeah, I mean, in the horror genre, I think there are a lot of directors who, I think could fairly be said to carry the torch. Ty West is probably one.
What's he directed? I forget who directed Midsummer and Hereditary.
Oh yeah.
I would say that's a person who.
There you go.
Certainly.
Yeah, that's Ari Aster. Ty West is best known for The House of the Devil. X, his new movie Pearl is out now.
Movie X, Pearl.
Oh, I've seen the trailers for that. Yes.
Yeah. I'd also say there's a movie I saw recently by Ruth Paxton called A Banquet, and I think it's pretty fantastic.
A Banquet.
A Banquet, yeah.
Okay.
Ruth Paxton. I think she's got a lot going for her. Karen Kusama, maybe. I think she did Jennifer's Body and
Oh yes. The Diablo Cody script, yes.
Right, yeah, and that's become kind of a appreciated as it should be recently.
Right.
Sometimes Mickey, whose time is he's not really future now. I don't mean to say his time is over. I just mean John's asking about the future. I don't know what he's doing right now. Have you seen a Mickey movie, John? Japanese director?
I'm sure.
I'm aware of the director, but I can't say I've ever seen a full film.
Oh.
I'm sure he released 3 movies last year.
He does 5 a year, right?
Yeah, he's great. I always teach his zombie musical, The Happiness of the Katakuris.
Zombie musical?
Yeah,
What's it called? I didn't hear of this.
Happiness of the Katakuris, and zombie musical does not really do it justice. But
okay,
it's a good way to get people interested, is to say that. But it's way more than that. Yeah, it's great. What's another good horror film? Mariama Diallo's her first film, Master. I thought that was really
yes, that was good. I did see that. Yeah,
very gothic, very slow paced, not concerned with being slick and commercial,
You know what that reminded me a lot of those old Hammer films from the UK, like the Draculas with Christopher Lee. Mm-hmm. That movie reminded me, and I love the old Hammer films. I don't know if when I was a kid, if that was just what the Late Show used to show all the time, but that reminded me a lot of those old movies.
Yeah.
Speaking of Hammer films,
yeah.
Speaking of Hammer films, if we could talk about Life Force. Sorry. I wrote Space Force in my notes. I'm like, Space Force?
Yeah, well, originally it was
Life
going to become
Force.
Space Vampires, which would have been more accurate. But
he made that I read that he made that like a Hammer horror. And when I watched it, I was like, oh, yes. Because when I originally saw it, I was a little bit like, I remember being nonplussed. And like last year during the pandemic, it was streaming and I watched it again. And I was like, oh, he meant this to be Hammer horror. And I had a fun time watching it.
I love
even
that
though today,
film.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Even though today you were saying,
I'm just saying, even though today things are different, I'm like, they made this woman be naked like for an hour. It's very weird. I mean, it fits into the story, but back then, I don't know if he did it or the producer's like, come on, she needs to be nude more. Got to sell this movie.
I'm glad you said that because I was about to talk about how the film plays on masculinity. Because it feels like the vampire is Matilda May, the space girl. It feels like she's nude for about an hour, as you say, but she's only nude for about a minute and a half. But the way it's conveyed has such an impact. And remember why. She's the space vampire. Why does she look the way she looks? Because she reached into the mind of these male military men and astronauts and scientists and picked the thing that they wanted to see. The thing
it is reversed. It's not the man vampire seducing the woman.
Seducing her.
She picks the form that makes them the weakest and most confused, and then proceeds to fucking kill them all.
Spoiler alert!
I love some of the practical effects in that movie where I forget why he did it, but the one vampire tries to run through the bars of the prison and he just explodes into dust.
Yeah.
All the effects in that movie I really enjoyed. And the screenplay is written by Dan O'Bannon, who wrote Alien, which I didn't know until I rewatched.
I just pulled it up so I would get the trivia right. Matilda May is only in the movie for 7 minutes.
Really?
Total.
You're kidding me.
Yeah. But it makes you remember it, don't you?
I just feel like she was walking around naked for half an hour.
Hey, Dame Judi Dench was only in Shakespeare in Love for 8 minutes, okay? And she won an Oscar for that, so you don't have to be on screen that long. Nope. It's what you do with the guy who always played the supporting role in plays, the guy who always got 2 lines. It's not how many lines you got, it's what you did with the lines you did get.
Yeah.
Yep. Marlon Brando and Superman.
Marlon Brando.
Time slows down.
I barely remember him. But yeah, do you like that movie, Life Force?
Do
you enjoy all his movies, or is there a movie you watch of his you're like, this one's, nobody's perfect.
Surely, well, when you commit your life to a project and you watch all of the films over and over, you find something to like and everything. But if I'm going to sit down on a Friday night and have a glass of wine and watch a Tobe Hooper movie, I'm probably not going to pick Eggshells, his first movie, which was an experimental film and really interesting, but not as fun to watch as something like Chainsaw or Chainsaw 2, Life Force.
Right.
Probably Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is my personal favorite. Not really? evaluating quality, but just subjectively. And partly because it's the first film of his I ever saw as a kid watching USA Up All Night. So it was
that show has come up in conversation on the City Vimco podcast before. Yes, it has.
Yes, because you can find something fun in any movie, because I picked a movie one week that I thought was about summer camp. Because it was called Summer Camp. Softcore movie, but I had a fun time watching it. And I was like,
it was basically softcore porn. Now, talk about awkward segues. The week before, I had picked a TV movie called Poison Ivy with Michael J. Fox and Nancy McKeon. And we went from that to...
Will is shaking his head. You know that movie? I never heard of that movie.
Well,
what are you going to tell us?
I thought you were going to say the Poison Ivy with Drew Barrymore.
No. We didn't do no. This was a TV movie from about 6 or 7 years before that.
Will looks so excited. Tell us what you're going to tell us. You were so excited.
I was the wrong Poison Ivy, but I know what you're talking about now. That was a good period of time for Michael J. Fox. He'd just done Class of 1984 and Midnight Madness and High School USA. It was right before he broke big with Family Ties. So
yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
Are you writing a book about him next? you knew all of that.
Well, I haven't seen Poison Ivy yet, so I'll have to. No, I have no plans.
No, don't. Just listen to the City Bimco episode featuring Poison Ivy. You do not have to commit an hour and a half of your life to it, Will. Trust me on this. Just listen to our podcast. You'll know everything you need to know about it. Because I have a feeling that if we actually have Will watch that, I have a feeling there might be legal action taken against us.
Well, I like Nancy McKeon. She was my Facts of Life crush when I was a kid.
Me too.
Oh, okay.
Me too.
Absolutely.
You and me, Will.
She was great. But I'll tell you what, if you ever do another 80s Michael J. Fox episode and you do the movie Midnight Madness, I would be delighted to come back on. I love that movie.
Do you? Okay. I don't remember this movie. This is a theatrical movie?
I guess it must have. I never saw it on anything but home video. But it's got David Naughton from American Werewolf in London. And
Midnight Madness.
Yeah, the conceit is all these different teams from different frats and sororities go on a scavenger hunt around the city. And it is hijinks ensue.
Okay, that's what we like.
It's hilarious.
We like hijinks.
Yeah, it's a great one. It's a hoot.
Although I have to tell the audience at home, this is the first time we've had the sibling of another guest. You're the brother of Georgia, and I do want to warn you that Georgia wanted to watch Teen Witch, and now she's John's archenemy. John did not like that movie. So
no, I didn't say I didn't like the movie. I didn't like the guy who played the brother. What the heck was his name? JJM, weren't those his initials? What was his name again?
I don't remember, John.
I don't remember either. I got a lot of hate mail on that. Apparently, the kid had a lot more fans, and he only made like 2 or 3 films. But apparently, he's got, I guess that's what you call a cult following, because all of a sudden, the biggest response we got from that episode was that I was saying how much I disliked the child actor who played the brother.
Too hard on him.
I remember watching that movie with her when we were kids. It was serialized on the new Mickey Mouse Club.
Serialized? Oh my God. Oh, my God. What a nightmare.
Well, I mean, I think the box office was only like $45,000, and I don't think I'm being hyperbolic here. I think like the box office was like $45,000 because I think it came out the same week as I can't remember now. But anyway, so yeah, that would be the natural progression on that. But as long as we're talking about Georgia, I don't know your age difference, but no, but I'm just curious too because here we have 2 siblings who have both. Basically, made careers out of the film industry, one working on the technical end of it, one working on the academic end of it. Did you watch a lot of film together? Did you have a shared love of film, or was it something that you both came to independently?
Well, I am older. I'm 5 years older, which made socializing a little difficult because just as she got old enough to really watch movies, I was already out of the house, which I'm sure they were all grateful about. But we grew up, as you know, in a really rural area and didn't have access to a lot of films, and I didn't really get into watching films seriously until I got to college. I think she was kind of the same. There were a couple of movies we'd seen, 100 times as kids just on TV, but we weren't serious about it.
And do you have another sibling?
No, it's just the 2 of us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I have no idea. Neither our folks are not.
Isn't that something though that you would both? Film would be part of. I'm just saying that film would be a big part of both of your lives, and that's.
I suppose it's a form. I suppose it's a form of rebellion because our father is an amazing gardener, and
Georgia told us this. And are you also going to tell what he gardens, or are we not supposed to talk about that?
Well, no.
The two of us are in New York State. It's legal up here. It doesn't matter.
Oh, I see what you're getting at.
I see what you're getting at. No, we're not going to throw Dad under the bus. Come on.
We can edit this out if you want. Georgia just like, I just found out he's growing.
It's still illegal in most states, and I believe the Commonwealth of Virginia is one of those states where it's still illegal.
No, it's
really?
You can have a certain amount. Yeah.
Great. Okay.
Oh yeah, we have like six up here at 6 plants for personal use. Yeah,
right. It's like that. Yeah. It's like that. But no, he was also very good at growing food for nourishment. And he likes to be outside and working with the soil and
yeah.
I like that.
And
I love it.
And so what better way to rebel against a father like that than to stare at a screen for the rest of your life?
We'll fix you, Dad. We will never step outside our homes again.
We're going to be pasty and weak.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well, what do you think of, I just watched this also during the pandemic. The pandemic I revisited a lot. What's your feelings on Salem's Lot?
Oh man, watching that film again during the course of the research, and then listening to Tobe Hooper does a commentary track on the Blu-ray of it.
Oh, does he?
Wow, fantastic! I mean, Chainsaw has very little and almost no gore, no blood. And I think that experience prepared him very well for Salem's Lot, and because he was able to do stuff that was so scary, I couldn't believe it was on network television.
Yeah,
right.
But I assume a shoestring budget. I don't know if you know the budget, but
it was a pretty decent budget. I mean, they had some big set pieces, but not anything amazing. I mean, it's a made-for-television movie in 1976, 77,
I think.
9.
I forget.
They're not putting.
But yeah, I remember in my head. Sorry.
It's not HBO money or anything.
No. I remember the kid floating in the window being a very eerie effect, and it probably was not an expensive effect to do.
No, just a platform and some string, but that tapping at the window will get you every time.
And the character in the chair, who I forget their names.
Oh, Jeffrey Lewis, yeah. Oh, that's the actor, Jeffrey Lewis.
Yeah.
When he's in the chair and he's,
That was the image I remember from childhood. When I watched it again, as an adult, that was the scene: Jeffrey Lewis in the chair with the eyes and the fangs coming out. That cliffhanger moment of Reggie Nalder as the vampire just jumping up. God, that's a great one. Yeah.
So
I might start.
Your research
that. I was just saying I might start that again tonight.
Okay.
All right. You're welcome.
Yeah.
I'm going to admit to you that I never did see Eaten Alive.
Eaten Alive
is really,
it's really interesting. That was a compromised production that he did not. He was not able to make Eaten Alive in the way that he intended. It still has a lot of great stuff in it, and it's wild. Neville Brand has a incredibly psychotic performance in it, and it's bleak too.
I saw the trailer.
Yeah, I argue that one of Hooper's recurring themes is about obsolescent men, and this movie certainly has that. Ineffective and impotent fathers, repressed violence,
even
Puritans,
in Poltergeist, I think.
Oh yeah,
I don't remember that father being like a big hero in the movie.
Oh no, he sucks. I mean and all credit to Craig T. Nelson. He had a great performance, but the key moment of his character is, he's sitting in a chair, smoking pot, reading Ronald Reagan's biography, right?
Right. I remember that.
What a yuppie piece of shit,
I know.
So yeah, it's all about these dangerously obsolescent men.
And the men in also Life Force, they're pretty much, Patrick Stewart he's like possessed in that movie too. I forget what happens to him. He's very wandering around in a haze.
Find me a hero in any Tobe Hooper movie, and it will be news to me. There's a couple of heroines here and there, but
right.
Not many heroines.
So, Will, I can talk about Tobe a lot, but I've kept you 40 minutes, so I want to get your high school story that's either embarrassing or terrifying or bizarre.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
We don't know what it's about, so.
I hope I'll be able to eat after this. But anyway, go ahead. I heard there's blood and gore involved. But anyway.
Do you want to tell us the year you were in high school or not? I don't care. But if you want to give us the time period.
I graduated high school in 1996, so 92 to 96. And this story happened in...
I just wanted the range. The early 90s.
Yeah.
Your favorite band was Hootie and the Blowfish. Just set the stage. Or was it Hootie and the Blowfishes, the little-known band... Similarly named.
That was the Christian rock band. They had to change their names up.
So
it was Hootie and the Blow Loaves and Fishes, I believe,
right.
Tim, is what she meant to say.
Man.
Funny enough, at the end of this story, a Christian rock band makes an appearance.
Ooh,
okay.
I love it. I love the little twist at the end.
Yeah,
let's go.
Yeah. So, this story might actually be fodder for a Tobe Hooper movie.
Wow.
So, to give a little backstory about how there's some elements. I'm going to tell this as quickly as possible, but it's still going to be kind of a long story.
That's okay.
So I grew up unchurched, and in the very small town where we grew up, being unchurched, you may as well be sucking the dick of Satan.
Yes.
Can I say that on your podcast? Yeah. Can I say that on your podcast? Well,
yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So, it was anytime there was a conflict with a peer, my godlessness would come up as a constant retort.
Thanks.
But I didn't do any. I tortured a few animals here and there, but no. So
they lived.
Yeah. So I'm 16 years old. I'm very awkward and lonely and no big friends. Typical 16-year-old stuff. And as young people are want to do, I was very vulnerable to attention. If a girl paid attention to me, I was like, here we go.
Yes, you do whatever she says.
Oh my gosh. And just preen and show off and all this stupid stuff. Well, I began speaking with a young woman who came up from a very religious household, were very modest clothing, had not had any dates or anything like that, was more or less betrothed to some guy who was going to preacher school that was 5 or 6 years older than her, which when you're 16, somebody's 5 or 6 years older. Yeah. And so I think she had some kind of moment of independence and broke up with him. And so she was feeling herself and flirted with me a little bit. And I was like, oh, I can corrupt this one. So I asked her out on a date, and going on a date, as far as I knew at that point, was going to the mall and walking around,
Right.
And,
going to Spencer Gifts.
Yeah, exactly. And hopefully getting back into the car and making out or whatever.
Yeah. Hopefully she'll be sucking Satan's dick. But anyway, yes, I went there. I'm sorry.
Geez.
Anyway.
Yeah, alas. No, so I'll get past this part quickly. It was the worst date I'd ever had. And she like, every place we went, she would flirt with whoever was working at the store.
Oh, no.
Flirting with the guy in the leather goods store and
even the guy making the cookies?
Yeah.
And the pretzels.
Even the guy wearing the hairnet? Oh, my God, no.
And, I thought, and I was a dick, right? I thought it would be kind of funny for us to go out on a date because we were so different and everything. But no, in fact, we just had nothing to talk about, nothing in common. And it was boring. I'm sure it was boring for her, too. So I'm taking her home, and I'm thinking to myself, I am never calling this girl again. Again, no fault of her own. We're just completely incompatible. Of course, at age 16, my thought was, she sucks. So we're driving along, and I'm not speeding or anything, but we're on a backwoods road and using, the bright headlights. And we come around a curve, going about 40 miles an hour, and a deer runs out.
Ooh.
And we hit the deer, lose control of the car. Neither of us are wearing seat belts.
Oof.
So we go down into a ditch, and I got a blackout moment. I wake up, and I'm crushed against the steering wheel. The glass is all over me. I feel something, a sharp pain in my neck, and I reach up and pull out a shard of glass.
Oh, no.
Might have been some artery or something, but I pulled it out. My knee hurts. I can see my kneecap. Shit. And so I look over at her and I'm like, "Are you okay?" And she's hurt. She says, "I want to go to sleep." And I know I've seen some TV show where they say not to do that. Don't go to sleep. So I'm like, count to 10. Say your alphabet backwards and shit.
Right.
I don't know. So we're down in a ditch, and I eventually
recite 2 Corinthians. Do something.
Yeah. I shouldn't see, but I wouldn't know.
If only I had been there in the back seat. But anyway,
tell me what happens in this Bible of yours. So I managed to get up to the road, and I get her up too, and we flag down somebody and get taken to the hospital. And God damn it, I never wanted to talk to this girl again. But of course, now I got to go visit her in the hospital. She's got a broken arm and a ruptured spleen. And so I haven't gotten to the embarrassing part yet.
Well, she did live. Can we make jokes? Did she live?
She did live.
Okay. I didn't want to make any jokes. You're going to say she died.
And we're like, and they're like, oh.
I can't say what's happened since 1996, but at least as long as I am not the reason if she's gone. I'm not the reason. So and it was bad. She had to be in the hospital for like a month. And she was in the Ronald McDonald House, because we're all poor, and all this and that, and so I go and visit her like you're supposed to do, and I'm kind of embarrassed at school because people are like, this dumbass Dodson tried to kill her, can't drive worth a shit, all this kind of stuff.
Right.
And
if I can stop you, unless the story's going here, did her parents were like, goddamn atheist, can't drive? Was that stuff going on, or
never to me. I got the sense that her stepdad was trying to figure out how much money he could get from us, but luckily for us, there was nothing.
I can relate to that. Yeah.
So anyway, she recovers and everything, and I try to kind of maintain a friendship, but of course we're not going to date anymore. Okay. So fast forward a year or so, we're not really talking anymore, and I've started dating a young woman from a different high school, which is always a smart move. You don't want to date somebody in the same high school. If it's a small high school, especially, you want to date somebody outside. You don't want that way. The gossip doesn't get
You want to spread the gene pool too.
Right. Well, yeah, as much as possible. But all right. So I was kind of an autodidact when it came to music at the time. I was really obsessive about music, and I would get into a band. Didn't care what genre, but if I would get into them, I want to hear everything they ever did. And most of the stuff I listened to was like, My Life with a Thrill Kill Cult, Ministry, that kind of stuff. I was really into that stuff. But inexplicably, I got into this Christian rock band that I just thought was terrific.
Plot twist.
They're called Dakota Motor Company.
Coda?
Dakota Motor Company.
And they're, I don't know why. I mean, it's cheesy, poppy. Fill me up with your Jesus love stuff, but it's good. I liked it. I like it today. I'll stand by it. If they're still touring, I'll go see them.
Wow.
Well, I attempted to see them. They were playing in Blacksburg, Virginia, near Virginia Tech. And again, this is a year or so later, and I went with my new girlfriend to go see the band. Got the tickets and everything. And we get there, and something's gone on. The band's late, or the show's going to start late. There's a technical problem. I don't remember what. And what I did not anticipate going to this Christian rock show is that the audience was going to be Christian.
Well, yeah.
Which
that never crossed your mind once, Will.
It didn't cross my mind because I was unaware of any kind of cultural differences between me and
You're unaware of the power of Christ.
So we're outside, and there are all these people with really wide eyes and like super wide grins because they've never orgasmed before. They're teenagers, and they're just filled to the brim with repression. And they've got this prayer circle going, and there's a man standing in it, and he's about 6'8", and he's got this gravelly voice, and he sees me, and he recognizes me, and he says, "Will, it's so great to see you. Come and let me pray on you." And this was the guy that my date had broken up with that was going to preacher school. They were getting back together. He had locked it down. They were engaged to be married, and he wanted to pull me into his circle and begin asking me about that night, that date. You went on a date, and started asking me details, and is there anything you regret? Any sins you wish to confess?
Is this his creepy way of wanting to know that his wife is a virgin? Is that what's happening?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say her honor was not besmirched. I had
you don't have to tell us. Yes,
I made no untoward. If I had done it, I would have told you.
Okay.
Although you might have wanted to say to him, well, except that whore you're going to marry flirted with every guy in every shop in the mall.
Maybe he is going to say that.
But nothing happened. But nothing happened between us.
Yeah. Well, so, and God love them both. I hope they were happy together because I certainly was not the right person for it. But this is the embarrassing moment, right? I'm standing in the middle of this fucking prayer circle, surrounded by. Now, talk about a horror movie moment, right? I'm down. This gigantic preacher man with a voice that sounds like acid and bleach. And all of these true believers surrounding me, just with their hands up, and I feel,
Right.
So I got the hell out of there. I told my girlfriend, I was like, we got to go. And she was a church girl. She wanted to stay and do the church activities. I really
was your ex-girlfriend there, by the way?
I believe so. I
just didn't see her.
I can't remember. I can't remember.
Just later a spine, but other than that, she was all there.
Yeah, I was so mortified. Like one of those moments where you feel like an interloper. And I ran from that place. I did not see Dakota Motor Company. I still, to this day, have not seen Dakota Motor Company. And I believe the original singer is no longer with them. So if I ever do see him, it won't be the same. So that experience was robbed of me. But in that moment, I felt the glass and the pain and the sharpness of the crash. Looking at this man and just my eyes darted around at all these strangers trying to lay their hands on me. And I fled, I ran, and I've been running ever since.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's weird. You wanted to know all about that night though. You're not sure what it was he wanted.
He wanted to know if Will got something. That's what he was trying to.
Yeah.
That's what he was trying to say without saying it.
Yeah.
And if I had the quick rapier wit that I have today, I'm sure I could have come up with some great rejoinders.
But that's the odd thing to want to know.
I still think that whore flirted with every guy in every shop would have worked perfectly. But
when you see her next time,
I would never speak that way of any woman, but at least not her. She was a very good person. I have nothing bad to say about her, except for not a good date.
Not a good date. Okay. Well, that's very generous of you. I mean, no, that's actually. I gotta say, I'm being sincere here.
It was like a little Rumspringa for her. It was. You can't blame her for being excited.
So what happened with the second girlfriend? Like after you did not go see Dakota Motor Company, and I want to know what happened because she really wanted to go see. Was that basically the end of that relationship because you didn't go see Dakota, or did you date her for a while longer? I mean,
we dated for a while, and then something in her realized that she was better than me, which that's happened quite a few times in my life.
Oh, I can relate to that.
And I don't blame her for it. She ended up getting married to a NASCAR driver.
Whoa,
okay. He's doing okay.
So, Will, then after that, who did you date?
Well,
just keep going. No.
As a mentor to young people, I always say that when you are young and beautiful, you should fall in love with as many people as possible.
Yeah.
Amen.
And I certainly did my best to live up to that advice.
Amen.
Sounds good.
No, I totally agree with that.
That was a great story. And it's been an hour, and that was a great story, and I love talking about Tobe Hooper. And you go ahead, plug your book one more time so we get it all right. Where can people get it? What's it called?
Who's the publisher?
Yeah, and thank you so much for giving some attention to Tobe Hooper. He really deserves the posthumous reputation that eluded him in lifetime. The book is American Twilight, the Cinema of Tobe Hooper. It's on, appropriately, the University of Texas Press, and I want to thank everybody there because they're so great to work with. And Christopher Woofter and I are the co-editors, and we've got a rogues gallery of great writers. It's in hardback now. Okay. It's got a great dust jacket. Look good on the shelf. Check it out.
Joe Bob Briggs, did he do one, you said?
Joe Bob Briggs.
Joe Bob Briggs. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, here's a little epilogue.
Okay.
I'm a huge Joe Bob Briggs fan. In fact, he more than anything got my father gave me his first collection of essays back in like 1989. Really? Yeah. I'm too young to have read him when he was syndicated columnist, but I read all of his books and watched him on Monster Vision and drive-in theater, as many people did. But I kind of, he's always been a champion of Tobe Hooper and wrote one of the great histories of the production of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So I just went to his website and emailed the contact information and said, hey, we don't want anything. We have this book and we'd like to send it to you just as a way of saying thanks for all you do. And he wrote back and said, send me the book and I'll give you a blurb. And
nice.
Which he did. And then later, Chris and I, we were going to we had a live stream to promote the book on YouTube with University of Texas Press with some other writers, Scout Tafoya, who's also written a book about Tobe Hooper, Stan Giese, who I mentioned before, Julie Spanzon, who runs the Tobe Hooper Appreciation website. And Joe Bob agreed to come on that. So
that's incredible.
And we had a good hour and a half long conversation about Tobe Hooper. And
is that on YouTube?
It is on YouTube.
Okay, I didn't see that one, so people can check it out.
Just
what's it called?
Google Joe Bob. It's if you Google the title of the book and Joe Bob Briggs or my name and Joe Bob Briggs, it'll come up. Or go to the University of Texas Press YouTube channel has it up. But yeah, all the mutant family joined in, and I so appreciated. That's my community. Had I been at a concert with the mutant family, which would have been a Guar show probably. Thanks so much.
All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Will. It was a pleasure.
Yeah.
A pleasure to talk to you, and thanks. Goodbye.
Take care.
Yeah.
So, John, that was a great show.
That was a fantastic show. I just love it. We have some really interesting guests, Tim, I will say. And that's all on you. Tim books all the guests. I know nobody. If I didn't have a job, I'd basically be a shut-in. I'd be like, remember when you used to go to mass as a kid and they'd pray for the shut-ins? I'm like, I wonder who the shut-ins are. Well, now I know. I am a shut-in. So no,
I never knew what a shut-in was.
And they're awesome. And they're awesome guests. I know nobody.
Oh, thank you. I just beg people.
Yeah. Anyway,
it was a great show. Thank you, Will.
And we're going to continue our little Halloween Spookafest, right?
Yes. What Spookafest? Come on.
Spookafest.
Terrifying. I don't know.
That is true because I am losing sleep.
So yes. So this is the first week of that. Next 2 weeks, we're going to watch some scary movies, and John is picking a movie next week.
Yes.
How scary is it?
It's got bunnies in it. It's terrifying.
Okay.
Because bunnies are scary.
What?
Bunnies are scary. Bunnies are terrifying, as you will hear me say next week throughout the episode. But the movie is a 1970 I can't even talk. 1972 movie. 1972 movie. And all I've had is a little sweet tea, which is the house wine of the South. It's an MGM movie from 1972 starring Janet Leigh with a supporting part played by DeForest Kelley, a.k.a. Bones McCoy from the original Star Trek.
What's it called?
Night of the Lepus. I did say it. Night of the Lepus.
Did you say it?
I did say it.
I've had more than tea, so I don't know what you're saying. Let's get out of here. You can email us.
Don't be ashamed to ask for help, Tim. Step 1 in the 12 steps is admitting you have a problem. Accept it.
I admit all my
Learn
problems.
your higher power.
No.
Anyway.
We got to get out of here. Email us, SetiBimco with the E at Gmail. It's SetiBimco, but you put an E at the end, at gmail.com. We're on Twitter, SetiBim. We're on Instagram, Seti_Bimco. Is that right, John?
Yeah,
email us.
Bimco.
Give us 5 stars and then give us 10 stars. Right. And leave a review. We're on YouTube. We're on everything, Apple.
We're on everything. We're going to be on Peacock soon. I'm lying about the Peacock thing, but I thought, well, maybe people will start like...
You have sweet dreams.
All right, Tim. Yeah, I am going to go to sleep. I've been up for about 20 hours.
Oh my God,
it's a good thing I didn't drink. All right, Tim. Bye-bye.
Seti Bimco is a podcast by Tim Hamilton and John Kelly. Produced by Miss Lee. Music by Tim Hamilton. This has been a Pity Party Line production.
Party line, it's a party line.